Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.
Welcome to Prairie Mosaic, a patchwork of stories about the arts, culture, and history in our region.
Hi, I'm Barb Gravel.
And I'm Bob Danback. On this edition, we'll visit an historic flour mill, attend a famous church supper, listen to award-winning poetry, and hear some down-home country music. Leon Basler has a unique career with a company based in Bismarck. He was hired as a full-time pilot, but his artistic gifts turned him into a visual artist. Over the years, he's designed calendars and done remarkable paintings for his clients.
Leon started with us really as a pilot. Came to us as a pilot and happened to have this amazing artistic ability.
I was hired to fly the corporate aircraft because I've got a background in aviation as well as art. And so they were looking for a pilot to fly the aircraft to different locations of the offices and also the projects and so forth. And at the same time, during my interview, I was questioned about my background in art and advertising and so forth. So it was worked out that when I wasn't flying, then I was working with the marketing department for different projects and so forth. This is fairly unique, basically because of the combination of an engineering firm and then a fine arts artist or a commercial artist. And that was something that I kind of questioned when I first started because I worked prior to KLJ as an art director in different companies and so forth. But this was kind of a unique situation for me. My technique is that I'll bring these areas a highlight, and then if I see they're overemphasized, then I can go ahead and wash the color over the top of it to where if I brought it in there to that color all at one time, didn't like it, then I'd have the option of putting more color over it. This way I just put a wash over it and then just kind of bring it down to the intensity that I want.
The nice thing for us is we've been able to really use Leon's work to help us connect with our clients and the communities in different ways. There's really something to be said for giving someone a hand-drawn piece of art that's related to a project that they're working on or something very specific in their community. The pilot portion is probably less unusual, but the artistic component certainly is unusual from the standpoint that it isn't common to probably see that fine art component in an engineering company. We've actually integrated it into our company, and so our office locations are decorated with Leon's artwork. He's had a hand in identifying that layout look of how the art becomes part of our office locations. We've had some really amazing calendars, so Leon does a calendar for us every single year, both an aviation calendar and then a regular calendar.
It actually works out very well because it kind of gives a personal relationship in some ways or a personal touch to some of the images that I do. This is a Beech 18 aircraft. And I picked it out. It's one of my favorite aircraft. It was used in the military. It was used for transportation. This one will be put into the 2018 aviation calendar for KLJ. When we first moved into this building, of course, that's a very open space there and has a lot of vertical opportunities there. There was many times I'd walk past there and I'd kind of visualize different things that might work in there and try to visualize something that might represent maybe a little bit of what the company is without directly using the images in a realistic form. It's kind of a visionary concept of geese flying. When they're flying, they have a leader, and the leader represents, for KLJ, the CEO. This one here is actually from Missouri. It's a creek down in that area. I started this one some time back. Actually, I started in December, and I got 3 of these about this size that I'm working on. And as I progress with it, I'll be putting a lot more warm colors in here, but I'm actually going to put a little bit of layer of mist into this for a morning light. I've done a lot of cartooning. I worked for Fred Laswell down in Florida, who was the creator of Snuffy Smith cartoon strip. I worked freelance with him, but I was always interested in cartooning when I was young. I just kind of carried that on. So I've got my own style of airplanes that I do, certain styles of different elements of characters and things like that.
When you get to know Leon, you recognize some of the traits and the characteristics of his artwork, and you can see his personality come through in that artwork. I feel very fortunate that I've been able to work with Leon for the past 7 years, and his artwork has really kind of defined different portions of my time with KLJ. And from a personal standpoint, for quite a while, his artwork was the only piece of art that hung in my house. He's always thinking how to connect more, how to connect better, whether it's in our office locations with our own people, whether it's with clients or different communities or projects. And I think we just appreciate that vision that he brings, and it's wonderful.
I found that the people up here were just wonderful people. They were very welcoming for me to get into some of these small towns and get to know some of the people over the years. It seems like that even though we have this really, really cold climate, there's always the warm hearts and the openness of the people that live in North Dakota. I feel like I'm very fortunate to be able to fly and to do art at the same time, and both of them, you know, they're basically my visions when I was very, very young. And then when I got on with KLJ, to where I was doing almost equally the flying and then the artwork, and then I was able to stay with them after I didn't fly anymore. I can't think of anything that's any better than that. So for me, it's kind of like coming to the end of the rope, and I've still got a good grasp on it. Sometimes, you know, they say stop and smell the roses. Up here, you can stop and smell life.
The history of milling in rural Minnesota is embodied in the story of Phelps Mill. This historic flour mill near Fergus Falls allows visitors to view the operation of a flour mill as it was in the olden days.
What makes Phelps Mill so unusual is that the structure is basically intact. The way you see it is the way it looked when it was built in 1889 and the addition put on a few years later. The vast majority of the original machinery is still intact. I mean, you go into Phelps Mill, it's like taking a step back in time. The owner of Phelps Mill, a man named William Thomas, he came from Bloomington, Wisconsin to work in the flour and feed business, and he worked in Fergus Falls until he purchased some acreage in Maine Township along the Otter Tail River. And he saw the rolling water, decided this would be a good place to construct a flour mill, which of course he began doing in 1885. And it opened in December of 1889. The name Phelps Mill comes from Ray Thomas's wife, Leona Phelps. Her maiden name was Phelps, so the town was called Phelps. The historic name of the mill when he opened it was the Maine Roller Mills. Maine for the township that we are in right now, and roller mills for the technology, the roller milling process. The mill was designed to produce 60 to 75 barrels of flour a day. Farmers from throughout the area would come with their wagons of wheat, and it got to the point where so many farmers would come to bring their wheat that they would have to wait, and so he built a kind of a bunkhouse called the Farmer's Roost, where farmers could spend the night while waiting to get their wheat ground. And then a few years later, the mill expanded, and he built an addition, which is the red part of the mill where the red tin siding is, and that was designed to grind buckwheat and rye. And the mill continued with great success through the early part of the 20th century until it just became more and more difficult to compete with the great mills of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and it eventually closed. It was sold to a man in Underwood, H.G. Evenson, in 1928, and he operated it for a few years, doing some feed grinding, and then it permanently closed the stores in 1939. Milling is a complicated process, but through the machinery that is in Phelps Mill, you are able to follow how wheat was turned into flour. Most rural flour mills, because of the dust of the milling process, had major fires and were burned to the ground. The fact that the main roller mills was able to survive those decades without a fire was totally amazing. The mill is wide open for the general public to walk around, so we are constantly worried about a stray cigarette or coming and the mill just, going up into flames. We now have a security system in the mill, so especially in the winter when it's shut up, so there's no break-ins. We recently installed lightning rods on the mill, thanks to a legacy amendment grant to protect against fire. We estimate at least 10 to 15,000 visitors come through during a season. The Phelps Mill Festival is held the second weekend of July as a major arts and crafts festival. Benefits a lot of local organizations, and the reason it is so popular, in my opinion, is in the background you have the historic flour mill. It is a pretty easy drive from Minneapolis, from Fargo. It's just off Ottertail County Highway 45. There's also the Phelps Mill store, which is the original general store, and now they sell ice cream, a real popular place for people to visit. It just harkens back to a rural lifestyle and a time that is long gone.
The Strasburg Church Supper is an event held every fall to help raise money for the Saints Peter and Paul Catholic Church. They use the same delicious traditional recipes every year because there's no need to change a good thing.
It's a fundraiser. See, and we always say the church fair is to pay the fuel for church. Sometimes it might be enough, sometimes it's not. Depends on the year, how cold it is.
It carries on tradition. The meal has always been superb, and I think if we started changing ingredients, it just wouldn't taste the same anymore. So we use the same recipes every year.
Oh, we're going to have fried chicken meat, sausage, rice dressing, glazed carrots, mashed potatoes and gravy, tomatoes, pickles, and pickled beets, and the dessert. Of course, bread, that's automatic. Years ago, they would mail out cards to every parishioner. The farm ladies had to bring chickens and a quart of cream, and some town ladies had to bring butter, egg noodles, ketchup, and some had to give $3. Upper 80s and 90s, we'd hit the 1,000 mark sometimes. So we had to cook a lot of food. The community is getting smaller. We can all see that. So, but I'm sure they'll go for a while yet.
I think it's very important for all of us to work together, and I absolutely feel that it is one of our best fundraisers.
If you were down the church basement, you saw all the young women in the kitchen. That's the time they all come together, the church fair.
We have not just our local people, but former parishioners and so on who come for this big event. So I think it's very important to keep it on. We need to do that. I guess I'm always very proud that my ancestors were of the first who settled in this area. And I guess it always amazes me that just 22 years later, by 1910, they have built this big, beautiful church. So I'm always very proud of that heritage, always thankful that my relatives and ancestors were actually parts of the group who started this.
Poetry Out Loud is a competition that encourages students to learn about poetry while they master public speaking skills and build self-confidence. Zachary Howatt of Northern Cass High School was North Dakota's 2017 State Poetry Out Loud champion.
I am wondering, what became of all those tall abstractions that used to pose, robed and statuesque in paintings? My poem is The Death of Allegory by Billy Collins. I like the poem overall because it talks about poetry. It was an interesting insight that he had about how we used to have these grand, big abstractions, and now we have little things and everything's so mundane. And I like the comparison between the old way of art and the new way that we make art. The Death of Allegory by Billy Collins. I am wondering, what became of all those tall abstractions that used to pose, robed and statuesque in paintings, and parade about on the pages of the Renaissance, displaying their capital letters like license plates? Truth, cantering on a powerful horse. Chastity, eyes downcast, fluttering with veils. Each one was marble come to life, a thought in a coat. Courtesy, bowing with one hand always extended, villainy, sharpening an instrument behind a wall, reason with her crown and constancy alert behind a helm. They are all retired now, consigned to a Florida for tropes. Justice is there, standing by an open refrigerator. Valor lies in bed, listening to the rain. Even death has nothing to do but mend his cloak and hood, and all their props are locked away in a warehouse. Hourglasses, globes, blindfolds, and shackles. Even if you called them back, there are no places left for them to go, no garden of mirth or bower of bliss. The valley of forgiveness is lined with condominiums, and chainsaws are howling in the forest of despair. Here, on the table near the window, is a vase of peonies, and next to it black binoculars and a money clip. Exactly the kind of thing we now prefer. Objects that sit quietly on a line in lowercase. Themselves and nothing more. A wheelbarrow. An empty mailbox. A razor blade resting in a glass ashtray. As for the others, the great ideas on horseback and the long-haired virtues in embroidered gowns, it looks as though they have traveled down that road you see on the final page of storybooks, the one that winds up a green hillside and disappears into an unseen valley where everyone must be fast asleep.
The Gina Powers Band from Fargo Moorhead has all the makings of a fun-loving group of musicians that long to play country music for everyone who will listen. This terrific blend of talent keeps the energy high while performing for audiences throughout the region.
Chicken pot pie, chicken pot pie, 2 for $99, my oh my, that's a real good buy. We got the babysitter sitting on the couch, yelling at the kids saying, hey, no, don't you be so loud. Little birds outside. Chicken pot pie, chicken pot pie, 2 for $99, my oh my, that's a real good buy. Chicken pot pie, chicken and veggies floating in a gravy bowl. With pie crust on it, feeds my soul. Shut off the cable, we won't die. Just grab the kids and tell them for supper we're having chicken pot pie. 'Cause it makes me feel just fine. Remember really good times with really good people eating chicken pot pie. Chicken pot pie, chicken pot pie. 2 for $99, my oh my, that's a real good buy. Chicken pot pie. $99, my oh my, that's a real good buy. Chicken pot pie, chicken pot pie. 2 for $99, my oh my, that's a real good buy.
My name is Gina Powers, and I've been playing music since 1972 when I heard last night in the Pips doing Midnight Train to Georgia, and I knew it's just something I had to do for my life. So today, playing as the Gina Powers Band, of course, is myself with lead vocals and acoustic guitar. My husband, James Singer, on acoustic guitar and vocals as well. He's also one of the songwriters. Nathan Pitcher, who is playing mandolin and lead acoustic guitar, also doing backup vocals. Mitchell Rittenbach, who is playing bass guitar, and we have Eli Davis on percussion. People will ask, what is your genre? And it's hard to pinpoint us because we have more of a sound than a genre specific, and our sound we call grill and chill, just because we think it's the kind of music that you want to put on when you want to feel good. And just personally, as Gina Powers, my mission is to put good things into the world. This band is a way to do that.
Early in the morning, round the break of dawn, get myself up and I put the coffee on, and I check on my strings in case I need new ones. Couple
If you know of an artist, a topic, or an organization in our region that you think might make for an interesting segment, please contact us at prairiemosaic@prairiepublic.org. I'm Barb Gravel.
And I'm Bob Dambach. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Prairie Mosaic.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.